One Zambia, one nation. This is Zanis News. To present, my name is Henry Himonde. Let's take a look at the top stories in our news. Over 2.9 million kwacha disbursed to 2022 CDF loan applicants in Southern Province. Eastern Province stakeholders welcome decentralization. And government committed to enact access to information bill into law. Zanis News in detail. Over 2.9 million kwacha has been disbursed to 26 empowerment loan applicants under the 2022 Constituency Development Fund allocation in Choma Central Constituency. The beneficiaries, who include small and medium enterprises, cooperatives, associations, clubs, and individuals, have received loans ranging from 16,000 kwacha to 200,000 kwacha. Runia Sakala has the details in the following report.
It is the final component of the 2022 Constituency Development Fund CDF being dispersed in Choma Central Constituency. The local authority in Choma has today handed over about 2.9 million kwacha worth of empowerment loans to 26 successful applicants. For Choma Central Member of Parliament Cornelius Mwetwa, who was represented by Mayor Javency Moloka, this is no mean achievement.
The loans are ranging from 16,000 kwacha to 200,000 kwacha, depending on the need and depending on what people applied for. As Choma, we have witnessed the youth empowerment, women empowerment. We have witnessed community projects. We have also witnessed so many bursaries that have been given out under the CDF for 2022. Choma and Babala, we are not amongst the constituencies that have failed to disburse money for CDF, which is meant for skills, which is meant for empowerment. And I think as a people of Choma, we owe ourselves an applause.
The loans, which have benefited small and medium enterprises, associations, cooperatives, clubs and individuals, are expected to boost the economy of the district.
These loans have been awarded to both existing and startup businesses, and they will create employment which will contribute to the economic transformation of Choma Central Constituency by empowering small and medium enterprises. The constituents will have more businesses that will bring about competition and expansion.
Fanny Vuimbiri is one of the beneficiaries.
Kuzwani twagalirera tatunabwe nebulero buli new dawn government. Lino swebo Choma group ali 26. Swebo nitwazwidirira twaba iga gedi iga party iga tondezya kuti abaya abantu bashede bonse bahibe guteza into pozili zya masimpe.
Runia Sakala, Zanis, in Choma District, Southern Province.
Still on CDF, Agrippa Silumbwe reports from Lufwanyama District on the Copper Belt Province that the Constituency Development Fund has boosted Lufwanyama's Kasoka cooperative in the production of affordable milli meal in its solar-powered hammer mill. Cooperative chairperson Timothy Kapenda says the hammer mill, which almost became a white elephant, is now operating at full capacity, producing 20 by 25 kilogram bags of milli meal per day.
Production of milli meal is on, while sealing of bags is also being done at the same place, as queues for the buyers are already building up outside. This is ZCF solar-powered hammer mill run by Kansoka Cooperative in Lufwanyama District, whose production has been boosted by CDF funding. The cooperative chairperson now shares their successive story.
Twatotele ku buteko bakutupera koloni ya Chichigai. Elo mubishikuwele elo kabili ubuteko weso ubishire wamba na weno kutwafulisha kupita mu CDF. Last year balitupera ku 13000. Emu alafu mama tawatulegaya kale twatampa okugaya okulishako ba community. Tugaya ku 50 bag. Tetintila tinibakansoka beka naba kutawuni balesa mukoda onobunga. vakawama valesa mukoda unounga Solwezi Road vengi valepusukira pali chino chigayi vatupeleko na imbiloni twalalemba pakuti iyi cooperative iye pantanshi.
Utilization of CDF funds by Kansoka Cooperative has brought pride to stakeholders.
For the Kansoka Multipurpose Cooperative is one of the beneficiaries of the grants that were just handed over for 2022 CDF. They've utilized it very well. They've bought maize. After buying those maize, they are now adding value to the same maize. They are now producing mealie meal.
Investing of empowerment funds in productive projects like hammer mills can be a game changer in stabilizing the price of the country's staple food and the economy at large. Reporting, I'm Agrippa Silumbwe.
And in Eastern Province, stakeholders are eagerly awaiting the full implementation of the decentralization process. And Eastern Province Permanent Secretary Beauty Piri says the emergency aspect of the Constituency Development Fund CDF helped address various calamities in different areas, citing Mambwe district, which is flood prone. Here are the details.
The Zambian constitution states that the country must implement a devolved system of governance. This means that some functions of central government must be handed to local government structures. This is why government is in the process of devolving some functions to local authorities through the process of decentralization. Stakeholders in Eastern Province are eagerly anticipating this move.
Most of the disadvantaged people of this country are found in rural areas. And whoever makes a decision to say, look, we want power to go to where the problem is, that is welcome. So we have received it with all our hearts. So government is doing something about it to make sure that decentralization is followed up by proper administration and management. So I'm very sure that it will work, and we are there as traditional leaders to support.
Constituency Development Fund, CDF, is a form of fiscal decentralization, something that Eastern Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Beauty Piri fully understands.
The bringing of the money from the central position to the local position gives a lot of power to a very ruralmost area to access that money at a time that they need it the most, in a very quickest possible way.
Meanwhile, the central government and local government structures in Sinda district of Eastern Province stand ready to collaborate to ensure that decentralization is a smooth process.
This office and the local government office, we are exchanging notes by the day. We are able to move together, plan together. This year, 2023, I'll be quick to mention that I'm excited because most of the things that we have planned together as a district, we are seeing the fruits and the signs of development.
Here we have a very good work relationship, and we consult one another on many matters. The same way he comes here, that's the same way I go to him, because the money has come from central government. So at that point, he's an interested person who we should collaborate with all the time.
The primary aim of decentralization is improved service delivery for the citizens. Mtalakani for Zanis News in Eastern Province.
And now in Lusaka Province, First Lady Mutinta Hijilema has donated 2,000 by 25 kilogram bags of mealie meal and 300 blankets to the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, to be distributed to various flood victims in the country. Receiving the donation, DMMU National Coordinator Gabriel Pollen thanked the First Lady. Here is a report.
Zambia is experiencing several flash floods in Central, Lusaka, and Southern Province. Several people have been affected and families displaced. First Lady Mutinta Hichilema has since donated 2,000 bags of mealie meal and 300 blankets to the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU. Mrs. Hichilema says her office is aware of the adverse impact of the flash floods that have hit many parts of the country and displaced hundreds of families.
Our office has learned that so far, the adverse weather conditions due to climate change have caused extensive damage in over 34 districts, of which over 66,000 households have been affected. Almost 150,000 acres of crops damaged. More than 4 dams have been damaged and a lot more remain at risk. This situation has led to, sadly, the loss of property and livelihoods. Many families have also been displaced and are now being housed in temporary shelters.
And Chinese embassy in Zambia is saddened by the effects of the flood and has since pledged support during this period.
Over the years, China and Zambia have shared will and woe and stood by each other. The Chinese people could feel the Zambian friends suffering from floods, and my colleagues and I are greatly concerned for their well-being. At the request of the Office of First Lady, our embassy gained detailed information on the flood victims' needs and got in touch with suppliers. With our unremitting efforts, we have collected and donated 1,800 bags of mini meal for disaster relief.
Meanwhile, Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit National Coordinator Gabriel Pollen has thanked the Office of the First Lady for coming to the aid of the flood victims.
So this kind gesture from the Mother of the Nation, the First Lady, is really a demonstration of the caring heart of the office that she occupies, including herself, and also a demonstration to the rest of the country that disaster management is a responsibility of everyone. Caring for our citizens is a responsibility of everyone. And from this gesture, we want to implore on different stakeholders to come on board and support the ongoing operations and existing efforts of the government to ameliorate the sufferings of our citizens.
Audrey Kalenga, Zanis News, Lusaka.
Now to Western Province, where the Young Women Christian Association of Zambia, YWCA in Changombo District, has embarked on creating awareness in communities against the effects of climate change, teenage pregnancies and child labor. The communities targeted are Mulonga and Sipuma wards in the district. This is after 23 girls fell pregnant in January alone in Mulonga ward. Kasweka Sakaimbo has the rest of the story.
We also want to ensure that we reduce cases of teenage pregnancy, child marriages, see how best we can reduce these things from occurring in our ward.
Despite the dangers of children falling pregnant, teenage pregnancies have continued to be recorded in Changombo District, with 23 being the recent in Mulonga ward. In order to drive sustainable change in child protection, the Young Women Christian Association, YWCA, has started engaging the community in creating awareness in teenage pregnancies, child labor, trafficking, deforestation, and the effects of climate change in the district.
I know that this year alone, from January to date, Mulonga has registered 23 girls. 23 girls who have fallen pregnant under the age of 18.
The district commissioner says working together in addressing these challenges is the only key.
To work hand in hand with the office of the DC in ensuring that we reduce these cases of early pregnancies. We have a re-entry policy. Let us ensure that all those girls who have dropped out of school because of these bad vices are taken back to school. And we have to appreciate the New Dawn government for bringing this free education on board. So we want to see all our children, the girl child, back in school.
The Office of the DEBS, however, noted that the re-entry policy is not a gateway to falling pregnant at will.
So even if that policy is there, we are not encouraging the girls to fall pregnant. One, socially, she will be disturbed. Physically, mentally, she will be disturbed.
Kasuka Sakambo reporting, Shangomo District.
We continue with the news. Ministry of Information and Media Permanent Secretary Kenneth Kalunga says government is committed to enact the Access to Information Bill into law. Mr. Kalunga was speaking in Lusaka today during the inaugural World Vision Zambia Media Recognition Awards. The awards ceremony saw Zanis reporters Chintuna Ngamba and Wailinda Piri from Southern Province, Freddy Piri from Muchinga, and Chibibi Lubasi from Northern Province being awarded. Take a look at this report by Mwiza Chuba.
World Vision Zambia today awarded journalists that have written stories aimed at promoting the voice of children and vulnerable communities in the country. Information and Media Permanent Secretary Kenneth Kalunga officiated at the inaugural World Vision Zambia Media Recognition Awards ceremony held under the theme Reporting Stories That Transform Lives. Mr. Kalunga reiterated government's commitment to enact the Access of Information Bill, AIB, saying it is good for the Zambian citizens.
Ladies and gentlemen, in our efforts to ensure that the media houses diversify from the daily political news, the ministry is encouraging the media houses to stick to editorial, policy, and disseminate information in a transparent and accountable manner. As you may be aware, ladies and gentlemen, government, under the leadership of His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, is creating a conducive environment for the media to operate independently, freely from political interference.
World Vision Zambia was represented at the event by its national director, John Hasse.
Zambia's population is over 50% children. And so that our decision makers and our business leaders, these are their customers, these are their constituents. And so we have to be meeting their needs and addressing their needs.
4 Zanis journalists were among those who received the World Vision Zambia Media Recognition Awards. Mwiza Chuba reporting for Zanis News in Lusaka.
Now, the Center for Infectious Disease Research in Zambia, CIDAS, is running a tuberculosis national inter-schools debate competition ahead of the World TB Day that falls on March 24. The National Inter-Schools Tuberculosis Debate is aimed at improving understanding of the disease among adolescents in schools and communities. This year's World TB Day is being commemorated under the theme, Yes, We Can End TB. Here's a report.
In Western Province, Imwiko and Sichili secondary schools of Mongu and Mlowezi districts respectively will be debating in Mongu district this Friday after beating their district rivals St. John's and Mlowezi secondary schools. Center for Infectious Disease Research in Zambia, CIDAS Inter-Schools Debate Coordinator Dr. Seke Mzazo says using school debates and adolescents as community advocates for tuberculosis will significantly raise the community interest in the subject.
We have targeted the young people, the adolescents, because we know that when they are passionate about a subject, the community also catches on to the same. So we believe that using young people, particularly high schoolers, will really bring our agenda of awareness around tuberculosis to the forefront.
Behavioral change and communication activities targeting school-going children have been demonstrated to play a pivotal role in the fight against various diseases.
We brought our learners from Imwiko Secondary School and the St. John's Secondary School that are still debating on the motion. We are excited being a ministry over this issue of debates being debated on, because it provides an awareness to the learners on the consequences of TB as well as the community.
For pupils, the competition has created a platform to equip them with more knowledge about tuberculosis.
What I've learned about TB is that TB is a very dangerous disease and we should do all we can to avoid getting TB.
The Ministry of Health is accelerating the TB response to enable Zambia achieve the global targets to eliminate TB by 2030. Prudence Mlinga, Zanis, Mangu, Western Province.
Twilidide Services, a group that was established by Zambian breweries to help out the vulnerable in society, has continued to empower vulnerable families in Kaloko and Mapalo townships in Ndola district. Twilidide Services General Manager Devi Chanda says the group aims at reaching out to more vulnerable families in densely populated areas in order to help alleviate the challenges they face. Here are the details.
Twilidide Services, a group engaged in helping former Zambia breweries, general workers, and other vulnerable families in Ndola district, has continued its noble duty of giving out hampers and funds every month. The group is practicing its social corporate responsibility through reaching out to over 20 members in Mapalo and Kaloko townships. The main aim is to ensure that former employees have enough funds to sustain their families.
So since then, from 2010 up to now, they've been working in Zambian breweries. Now it's no longer an organization, now it is now a contractor. But it's no longer like a company. So what we have been doing, we have continued with the same responsibilities of helping vulnerable people. So here we have come to see our members. Some of them are our members, but they are no longer there. They are just working from home because they cannot manage to do that. And we have also employed some other people like children, the orphans and the like, so that they can also raise some money for themselves.
The group also wants to reach out to more vulnerable families in densely populated areas. For the beneficiaries, the funds have enabled them to fend for their families and start up businesses. I am grateful that through Zambia breweries, I managed to buy a house. From the funds received, I managed to start up a business of selling munkoyo and vegetables. Other leading organizations have been called upon to reach out to the vulnerable in society. Nelly Bota reporting for Zanis in Ndola.
That item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, let's take another look at the stories that made headline. Over 2.9 million kwacha disbursed to 2022 CDF loan applicants in Choma district. Eastern Province stakeholders have welcomed decentralization. And government is committed to enact access to information bill into law. That is all we had packaged for you on Zanis News. On behalf of the entire news production crew, my name is Henry Himonde. Remember, we are one Zambia, one nation.